Okay, I need you to imagine one thing. We're going towards the presidential jetty in Male. You stand there and you see thousands of people driven by hunger and anger sailing across the sea with one goal: to confront the government, the very government that had stripped them of their freedom, of their livelihood. Weapons are ready, and even the calmest harbor could explode into chaos. This is the story of the northern islands of the Maldives, where desperation turned into resistance. Before the 1940s, life for Maldivians was hard for sure, but it was a free life, an independent life. Fishermen from many islands traveled to nearby countries, selling their catch, trading other products, and earning a living that sustained their families. Every journey, though it carried a lot of risks, it also carried a lot of hope. It carried the promise of survival. During the World War II, food imports to the Maldives had nearly stopped. The islands were starving. After endless effort, the government managed to bring in only a small amount of rice, barely enough to survive. The British had promised to send more to the Maldives, but only once Ceylon had enough for itself. But that promise stretched thin as hunger grew. Inflation soared. Prices of even the simplest food were unbearable. To control the chaos, the government decided that certain essentials could only be sold by the state. This was in the early 1942. In the meantime, the Vora traders, who had long bought Maldivian fish, were paying insultingly low prices. To break their monopoly, the government opened the Bodui store, the state trading store, current day STO, forcing fishermen to sell only to Bodui store. But this solution became another kind of chain. The government decided the prices. The islands lost the freedom to trade. Anger simmered quietly at first, but it soon grew, spreading across the country in both northern and southern islands. At that time, the world was engulfed in war. Families struggled to survive, often going days without a proper meal. The government's restrictive measures meant to control the economy only worsened the suffering. Every delay, every imposed price, every restriction added to the strain. Sultan Hassan Nuruddin II ruled during this turbulent time. He was guided by advisors, including prominent political figures like Muhammad Amin Didi himself. In the northern islands, frustration reached a boiling point, and anger became action. People whispered, then they argued. They began to plan. They could no longer accept being ignored. News of the unrest reached Male through messengers. Dong Ali Haji Kilegafan of Ha Alif Diddu and Katib Adam Manik of Hadal Nolivanafar brought the news to the Male elites. They warned the government that even the island chiefs were united in opposition. At first, the government paid little attention to what Dong Ali Haji Kilegafano and Katib Adam Manik had told them. They were given a letter and were sent away. They were dismissed. But the situation could not remain ignored. More reports arrived. The government finally realized that the Northern Islands were not going to submit quietly. To avoid open conflict, they sent a peace delegation on February 2nd, 1943. Sheikh Mohammed Jamil and Maling Mohammed Didi led the mission. They were tasked with calming the tensions before they erupted into something uncontrollable. The delegation first sailed to Hadal Vakaradu, then Hadal Nolivaramfar. Both islands offered no serious resistance. Calm prevailed, at least for the moment. But Kurdufushi, the heart of the unrest, awaited. The delegation planned to arrive by Friday prayer, hoping the sacred hour might temper anger. The journey was slower than expected, and the delegation approached the island as evening fell. The Northern Islanders had been clever. Many hid from view, waiting to see what the delegation would do. If the visitors saw a harbour full, they might turn back. That's not what they wanted to happen. As the delegation entered the lagoon, the trick no longer mattered. A flood of people surged towards the harbour, shouting, waving weapons, and demanding attention. The leader of the crowd was Alavalu Musa. He guided the furious masses. Their voices rang out. Some even waded into the water, reaching for the vessel. The delegation realized that diplomacy alone would not succeed. They fought to steer the boat away, narrowly escaping capture. But eventually the delegation was forced ashore at Kurdufushi. Muhammad Khatib intervened. He calmed the crowd after Isha prayers, but the damage was done. The islanders refused to hear the delegation's words. The delegation could not leave until the northern people were allowed to travel to Male. Night fell, but watchful eyes remained on the lagoon, ensuring the visitors could not escape unnoticed. Finally, on February 28, 1943, the northern people departed, traveling in over 500 vessels carrying more than 9,000 individuals. The journey was tense. The sea alive with anticipation and uncertainty. The northern fleet reached the vicinity of Male on March 4th, 1943 around noon. It was a Thursday. The Home Minister Mohammed Amin Didi was ill at the time, hoping that a quick rest could cure his headache and fever, but his plans had to be changed as he had to rush to the customs area. Senior officials joined Mohammed Amin on the rooftops of the customs building, scanning the approaching vessels. After consultation, Mohammed Amin Didi decided the northern people could not dock at Male. Instead, they would be sent to Galufar, while a delegation on their behalf was brought in for discussion. Ibrahim Ali Didi and Ibrahim Muhammad Didi were sent to negotiate with the northern leaders, but the northerners rejected their proposals outright. Some vessels entered Male harbour, their crews armed with spears, knives and tools, ready for confrontation. Tension escalated. Both sides watched and waited. The delegation arrived at sunset, the golden light casting long shadows over the harbour. The northern leaders demanded and made their requests. When the government refused, the northerners shouted threats and returned to their vessels, leaving the capital uneasy and alert. The People's Majlis convened immediately, granting Mohammed Amin Didi full authority to handle the situation. Residents of Male were mobilized to guard the city. On March 5, 1943, northern vessels attempted again to enter the harbour, but the people of Male held firm, blocking an intrusion. Another meeting with the northern delegation was held, but the situation remained tense. Around noon, a British aircraft flew overhead, amplifying pressure. By afternoon, the northern leaders, subdued by circumstance and the weight of the authority literally flying above them, apologized for their early outbursts. By sunset, the northern leaders finally departed. 2 days later, Muhammad Amin Didi personally travelled north. He visited Had al-Diddu, Kela and Had al-Kurdufushi, witnessing firsthand the islands that had defied the government. Leaders of the unrest, including Kurdufushi Bodu Muhammadu, Musa of Borduruddashage, and Malindu Mudinkalefan, were brought to Male for trial and punished. Those in Male who had encouraged the revolt, such as Ibrahim Hilmi, Abdullah Hilmi, and Ibrahim Didi of Galaluge, also faced the consequences. If you think about it, the Uthuru Gadubadu taught us a lot, did it not? Ordinary people driven by hunger and oppression stood up against the might of the government. Though the authorities ultimately restored order, the resistance of the Northern Islands left a lasting mark on Maldivian history. It was a moment that showed the power of collective action, the danger of unheeded anger, and the cost of stubborn authority. The events of those days remain a vivid reminder that even in small islands, voices raised in unity cannot be ignored. Am I right? Let me know what you think. Until we are able to unfold another tale beyond the sunny side, this is me, Tata, signing off. Stay safe and bye-bye.